It takes a lot to shake the foundations of a 1,000-year-old institution, but on February 8, 2026, the walls of Buckingham Palace didn't just shake, they solidified into iron. We have spent years speculating about the end of the Sussex experiment, watching the slow-motion car crash of failed podcasts, stalled documentaries, and awkward public appearances. But what happened this week wasn't a rumor, and it wasn't a tabloid splash. It was a tactical military-grade operation launched by the House of Windsor to save its own. The headline isn't just about a divorce. It's about a rescue mission. For the first time in modern history, the Crown has invoked the Royal Guardianship Protocol. This is the nuclear option. It is a legal safeguard that effectively declares a royal parent unfit to protect the psychological and physical safety of the line of succession. And the person who pulled the trigger on this protocol wasn't King Charles. It wasn't even Prince William. It was Prince Harry. In a move that has stunned legal experts in California and London, Harry has reportedly aligned himself with the one person Meghan Markle feared most, Princess Anne. The statement leaked to the Times was brief, brutal, and entirely devoid of the word salad we've come to expect from Montecito. Harry declared, "Under the Royal Guardianship Protocol, Princess Anne would never allow my children to be abandoned, and neither will I." That is not the voice of a hostage. That is the voice of a man who has finally woken up. Today we are going to expose the full timeline of this explosion, the secret Doha Dossier that pushed Harry over the edge, and the finalized plan to strip the Sussex titles once and for all. To understand why this week has been so explosive, we have to look at the cold reality of the last few months. The media has been trying to paint a picture of a couple struggling to find their footing, but the truth was much darker. The last time the world saw Harry and Meghan together was December 18th, 2025 at the Global Impact Awards in Los Angeles. On paper, it was a triumph, a corporate-sponsored gala hosted by Amazon Studios. But inside the room, the energy was reportedly glacial. Eyewitnesses described a scene that was painful to watch. This wasn't a power couple united against the world. These were two business partners who realized the contract had expired. Meghan was described as visibly distracted, constantly checking her phone and engaging with donors, while Harry stood like a ghost at her shoulder, avoiding eye contact with the press and looking physically drained. One industry observer noted, "They didn't look like they were promoting a cause. They looked like two people finishing a court-ordered obligation." But while the cameras were flashing in Los Angeles, a financial crisis was brewing in Santa Barbara. We have now learned through leaked court filings that the tuition fees for the Santa Barbara Prep Academy, one of the most exclusive schools in California, had gone unpaid since November 2025. This is a crucial detail. It wasn't that they didn't have the money. It was that the administrative chaos in the household had reached a breaking point. School administrators had flagged a sudden and unexplained withdrawal of the children Archie and Lilibet from the roster. Harry's legal team has now submitted these withdrawal notices as evidence. They paint a picture of a household in freefall, where the children's education was being treated as an afterthought to brand management. This was the first crack in the dam. While Meghan was reportedly negotiating deals in the Middle East, the basic stability of the children's lives in California was eroding. And for Harry, who has always claimed his priority is his children's safety, this negligence was the smoking gun he needed to pick up the phone and call his aunt, Princess Anne. What exactly was Meghan doing while the tuition bills were piling up? This is where the story takes a turn into international intrigue. According to the explosive filings submitted by Harry's new legal shark, Laura Wasser, Meghan Markle had effectively checked out of her life in Montecito. The court documents allege that she spent over 110 days abroad in 2025, primarily shuttling between Dubai and Doha. The narrative sold to the public was one of global philanthropy and women's empowerment summits. But the internal emails intercepted by Harry's team tell a very different story. They refer to something called Project Emancipation. This wasn't just a rebrand, it was an exit strategy. The leaked documents suggest Meghan was preparing to launch a solo wellness and lifestyle conglomerate based in the Gulf states, one that would leverage her title but separate her entirely from the drama of the British royal family and, crucially, from Harry. But here's the part that triggered the Royal Guardianship Protocol. The Doha Dossier allegedly contained pre-contractual terms for a reality-style docuseries focused on modern motherhood. The pitch deck, which has reportedly been seen by palace lawyers, didn't just feature Meghan. It promised exclusive unfiltered access to the lives of Archie and Lilibet. It proposed filming them in international locations, using them as the face of a new royal lifestyle brand. For Harry, this was the nightmare scenario. He had left the UK to protect his family from the media, only to find that the call was coming from inside the house. The realization that his children were being packaged as content for a Middle Eastern media fund was the final straw. It wasn't just commercialization, it was exploitation. And worse, it was happening without his consent. The filings claim that Meghan had already signed intent to withdraw letters for the children's California schools, with a transfer inquiry sent to a media-friendly bespoke education provider in Dubai. The reason listed on the transfer form: geostrategic visibility and brand continuity. Once the palace saw the Project Emancipation files, the machinery of the monarchy kicked into high gear. This wasn't about PR anymore, it was about extraction. On February 2, 2026, the palace issued a rare legal communiqué confirming that the Royal Guardianship Protocol had been reactivated. This is a constitutional lever that allows the Crown to intervene if a royal child's identity or safety is under threat. Princess Anne, often called the hardest working royal, took command. She was authorized to begin joint proceedings under the Windsor, California Reciprocal Protection Accord. This is a little-known agreement established to manage custody issues for dual-citizen royals. The efficiency of the operation was terrifying. Within hours of the protocol being signed, Archie and Lilibet's UK and US passports were frozen. But the palace went further. They didn't just freeze the documents, they physically secured the children. Between February 4th and 6th, under the cover of darkness, and coordinated by Prince Edward's security detail, the children were relocated. They weren't taken to a bunker, but to Wolverton Cottage, a highly secure royal enclave near the Sandringham estate. A royal aide described the move with chilling precision. The goal wasn't to hide them, it was to stabilize them. Imagine the scene in California. Meghan Markle, returning from a trip or preparing for her next venture, suddenly finds that her children are gone, not kidnapped, but reclaimed. When she attempted to contact them, her calls were rerouted to court-appointed mediators. The message from London was clear: you are no longer the primary decision-maker. This is containment. The children were placed under 24-hour supervised care with access to child psychologists from the Royal Pediatric Trust. The tuition fees in Santa Barbara were paid not by Archewell, but by the Duchy of Cornwall. The message to Meghan was financial, legal, and physical. You have lost control. For years, the world has waited for Prince Harry to snap. We waited for him to realize that he had traded a palace for a prison of his own making. On February 9, 2026, that moment arrived. But it didn't happen with a screaming match or a tell-all interview. It happened with a quiet, devastating walk to the front gates of Clarence House. Harry arrived unannounced. There was no Netflix crew, no Archewell branding, and no entourage. He was wearing a simple black coat and carrying a single briefcase. But it was what he was holding in his other hand that broke the hearts of royal watchers around the world. He was clutching a worn stuffed Paddington bear, reportedly Lilibet's favorite toy. That image communicated more than 1,000 pages of legal text. It was a signal of surrender and a plea for protection. Harry wasn't there to negotiate a deal for himself. He was there to surrender his pride to save his children. He entered through the sovereign's wing, a clear indication that he was being received not as a visiting celebrity, but as a prodigal son returning to the fold. In his formal statement filed with the court, Harry delivered a line that will go down in history. He wrote, "I was once told by my wife that royalty was a trap. But maybe what's worse is when children are used to unlock someone else's brand. That's not love, that's leverage." This was the turn. After 2 years of veiled criticisms and victimhood, Harry had crossed the threshold. He admitted to Princess Anne, "I'd rather be hated for protecting them than loved for staying blind." He provided the palace with a timeline of deception, 7 incidents in 4 months, where he was excluded from decisions about his children. He handed over the keys to the kingdom, effectively testifying against his wife to ensure that the crown would step in. He chose being a Windsor over being a Sussex. With Harry safely behind palace walls and the children secured, the legal battle shifted to the courts. And this is where the gloves truly came off. Harry retained Laura Wasser, the most feared divorce attorney in California. You know her name. She handled Kim Kardashian, Johnny Depp, and Angelina Jolie. She doesn't lose. Her strategy was immediate and aggressive file for sole custody based on abandonment and commercial exploitation. Meghan's team, led by entertainment attorney Sherry Tilden, tried to fire back. They issued a fiery counter-declaration claiming Harry was coordinating a British imperialist narrative to seize American citizens. They tried to frame this as a sovereignty issue, arguing that the royal family had no jurisdiction in California. But they underestimated the preparation of the royal household. Harry's legal team submitted a confidential annex containing personal testimony and verified voice memos from inside the Montecito household. One leaked memo believed to be recorded after Meghan found out about the passport freeze captures her in a moment of unfiltered rage. She can be heard screaming, "They've manipulated him. Anne is brainwashing him. If they think they're getting my kids, they'll have to burn me down first." But in a court of law, anger is not evidence. The palace presented cold, hard data flight logs showing the 110 days of absence, emails with casting directors in Dubai, and the unpaid school fees. The palace also played their ace card, the Windsor, California Reciprocal Protection Accord. This 2024 agreement essentially states that in cases involving high-profile dual citizens, where security risks are elevated, the jurisdiction defaults to the party capable of providing the highest level of physical protection. That is undeniably the British Crown. Princess Anne's team filed a motion that left Meghan's lawyers scrambling. They argued that Meghan's Project Emancipation created a security risk by exposing the children to unvetted commercial actors in volatile regions. They turned Meghan's own desire for global fame into the weapon that severed her custody rights. While the lawyers fought in the courtroom, Meghan Markle was fighting a different battle, one she was rapidly losing. The court of public opinion is one thing, but the court of high fashion and elite society is far more ruthless. Following the revelations of the Dubai contract and the abandonment filings, the pillars of the luxury world began to crumble around her. Paris Fashion Week was the first domino to fall. Meghan had reportedly been approved for a major appearance, a comeback moment that was supposed to launch her new solo brand. But on February 7th, her invitation was revoked. The reason cited ongoing controversy and reputational risk. In the world of high fashion, that is a death sentence. Vogue, Chanel, and 3 other major fashion houses issued what insiders call soft bans. This means they won't publicly denounce her, but they will not dress her, they will not invite her, and they will not feature her. A WhatsApp chat leaked from a group of top creative directors described her as radioactive. One message read, "She's not just a liability, she's an unfit maternal commercialist. We can't touch that." The phrase unfit maternal commercialist began trending globally. It was the ultimate brand killer. Meghan had spent years curating an image of a compassionate modern mother. In 1 week, that image was shredded. The polls reflected this shift. A Daily Mirror poll found that 71% of respondents across the Commonwealth supported the Crown's intervention. Even in California, 52% supported limited royal oversight. Meghan wasn't just losing custody, she was losing her audience. Her allies in the U.S. media began to go silent. No one wanted to be seen defending a mother who allegedly left her children to pursue a reality show in Doha. By the morning of February 10th, 2026, the game was over. The palace didn't just want a victory, they wanted a conclusion. In the shadow of Windsor Castle's North Terrace, a final royal conclave was convened. Princess Anne presided as Lord High Chancellor of the royal household. Prince William sat beside her as acting sovereign. King Charles joined via secure video link. At 9 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, Princess Anne read aloud the Instrument of Total Disassociation and Disinheritance, also known as the Sussex Protocols. This document is a sweeping legal instrument that dismantles the Sussex entity entirely. It contained 6 key declarations that change everything. First, full title revocation. The document cites the Sovereign Titles Act of 1842 and the Succession Reform Protocols. It strips Harry, Meghan, and the children of all remaining honorifics. No more Duke, no more Duchess, no more HRH. They are private citizens. Second, disinheritance. Invoking a secret codicil from Queen Elizabeth II's 2021, will the monarchy revoke all claims by Harry or his children to inherit estates, trusts, or ceremonial privileges. The financial umbilical cord has been cut forever. Third, and most importantly, custodial overruling. The royal authority over Archie and Lilibet's upbringing was officially transferred to a neutral royal guardian. That role was immediately filled by Duchess Sophie of Edinburgh. This ensures the children are raised with royal values shielded from the commercial glare their mothers sought. Fourth, breach of trust enforcement. The Crown authorized legal action against the Archewell Foundation for fraud and financial misrepresentation regarding the use of royal insignia. The charity is being dissolved under the oversight of the Privy Seal. Fifth, the Public Statement Clause. The palace authorized the release of all factual documentation to protect the institution. The era of never complain, never explain is over regarding the Sussexes. If Meghan lies, the palace will release the receipts. And finally, the Sunset Order. Prince Harry was granted 30 days to remove all references to his former titles from business ventures. He has accepted these terms. Conclusion. As the dust settles on this historic week, we are left with a new reality. The Sussex marriage, once billed as a modern fairy tale, has ended in a cautionary tragedy. Meghan Markle, who sought to modernize the monarchy by leaving it, has found herself isolated, branded, and powerless against the institution she tried to outsmart. Prince Harry, the man who walked away, has crawled back not as a victor, but as a father desperate to save what little family he has left. He has lost his titles, his reputation, and his freedom, but he has secured his children. The image of him entering Clarence House with that Paddington bear is the epitaph of his rebellion. The royal family has proven once again that it plays the long game. They waited, they watched, and when the moment was right, they struck with devastating precision. The Royal Guardianship Protocol wasn't just a legal maneuver, it was a message to the world. The Crown always protects its own, and it never forgets. What happens next for Meghan Markle? Isolated in Montecito, blacklisted by fashion, and stripped of the royal connection that gave her relevance, the future looks bleak. But for Archie and Lilibet, hidden away in the quiet safety of the English countryside, the noise has finally stopped. What do you think? Was the palace right to intervene and take the children, or was this a power grab by the institution? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to know more about the secret Doha files that exposed the whole scheme, make sure you're subscribed because that story is just beginning.